Okay, I think we're live. This is Elliot Fishman. It's noon. It's the 9th of January. Hope everybody's doing well. Those of us in the East Coast, I guess, complaining that it's cold out and we had snow, but I have to admit those are very minor complaints. Our prayers go out to all of our friends and everybody, whether we know them or not, in California, in the LA area. Many of us have spent lots of time there. Santa Monica is one of my favorite places, and Malibu, but particularly Santa Monica, and to see all those fires and the destruction and the fact that it's not stopping and the number of people who will be homeless and the fact that that type of destruction will take a decade to fix is really so sad. I mean, fortunately, the number of lives lost is 5 so far because I guess Californians are follow orders when they tell you to leave and you see the flames, you move. Um, Hopefully, the number of deaths will be minimized. You could always replace property and things like that. But I think it will have a big impact on everywhere. California is such an important place, just the housing and everything else. But let's not worry about how it's going to be fixed. We need to first get the fires out. And, it shows the force of nature. A couple of years ago, after many years of drought, California had too much water, right? All the reservoirs were full and over full. But then all that good rain led to all the grasses and things growing in trees. And then when you have a drought for the last 2 years, LA in the last year, I think, has had like zero point 0.1 inch of rain, which is less rain than if you spilled a glass of water on a piece of property or on the table. So basically, you now had all of this new growth, which basically died for lack of water. And then you get the fire, everything just catches fire. There's no stopping it. And then you get the winds, 90 to 100 mile an hour winds. We talk about that in a hurricane with the rain, but not fire. Could you imagine the warm winds blowing all the embers? You feel the firefighters and all the first responders, how brave they have to be because you look like you're in a safe area one moment, the next thing the fire can basically take you away. So we just want to extend our well wishes and prayers to all of those people. Now, last week I spoke about the radiology shortage as one of the crises. A few people made the point, what else is in short supply? Well, I think everything is in short supply because we had that hurricane, and the hurricane came to Asheville, North Carolina. Baxter makes their bags, the saline bags there. You don't get hurricanes. My in-laws lived for years in Asheville. You don't get a hurricane coming from Florida and then flooding and destroying Asheville, North Carolina, which is inland by the mountains. But it did. And then everybody is short now saline. So you have to have all these different ways of trying to figure out. Saline is very important in the hospital, whether it's IVs, whether it's fluid. There's a million ways we use saline. So again, Mother Nature creates a problem, and it's not now a matter of it was made in China. No, no, no. The majority was made in this one plant, 70 or 80% in North Carolina. Who would have thought it could be a catastrophe like it is? We talk also this year, last year we ran out of contrast, or we were almost out of contrast. And hopefully Bronco have taken care of that problem, hopefully, with more supplies and bigger supplies and different places making supplies. I think one thing to realize, even from this thing in Asheville, the safest place is no longer safe because all of the rules we had with storms and fires and rain and hurricanes, those rules don't exist anymore. The only way to protect your supply is to build it in multiple different areas so you have redundancy. And we talk about that with chips, right? NVIDIA is number one, and it's our favorite, but a lot of their stuff is made in Taiwan. And you have a problem with Taiwan because of China, right? So if Taiwan would fall, or even just a little bit of hostility, the whole chip industry could stop, because we need those places now. TMSC and places like that, those companies are going to build things in the States, but it takes many, many years to build those very delicate factories. Everything is short. What about technologists? Technologists are short. We're running the scanners weekends, nights, more scanners. You need more technologists, right? You need someone to scan, and you need quality people. Well, I think groups are working with community colleges, groups are opening technologist school. You need to figure a way how to get more technologists. There's no magic. RadNet's a publicly traded company, one of the biggest radiology companies. A couple of years ago, their annual report, the financial people asked, what's limiting your growth? And they said, the technologists. We can open more imaging centers if we had more technologists. So the techs, we know great techs are what makes great CT and great MR and great ultrasound. But if you don't have enough techs, you can't run the scanners. And a tech shortage is the same as a radiology shortage, except I guess you have a tech shortage, you don't scan the patients, and so the radiologists aren't that busy. But we need to figure out the ways. Technologists get paid very well. They can live many places. Now, they can't work remote like radiologists, perhaps, but there's tremendous opportunities in the technology field, and they're so important. And so we need to figure out, how do we get people to go into radiology technology, and how do we train more people, whether it's through colleges or community colleges or just hospitals. In the old days, every hospital would train their own technologists. Then it became inefficient financially, and so financial demands pushed the technologists aside. Now you got to figure out better ways of doing it. Education. Are there shortages? Well, there's a shortage of meetings, but nobody is going to meetings, so you can't afford to run a meeting. We did 35 years of meeting. This would have been our 40th year, but it stopped at COVID, and it ain't coming back. There's a few people who are running meetings that are reasonably successful, but not what was before. The cost of running a meeting is so high, and with radiology being so remote, people aren't going to meetings. They're getting their CME online. So the people at the meetings are people who've always gone to meetings, and they like going to meetings, but it's a big problem. So there are many challenges in radiology, and when I spoke last week, I spoke about the radiologists, but I'm telling you the technologists. I'm also saying nursing. Nursing is short everywhere. Radiology nursing is critical to take care of our patients, particularly as we do more and more complicated patients in the outpatient setting or in the inpatient setting. We need to figure out ways of getting more nurses and having them go into radiology and train them in radiology. We need more technologists. We need more clerks and administrative people to help us along, and they need to be trained well. We need the scanners, the supplies, the contrast, the saline, the needles. Everything that exists can be short, and we are living through that era. So before we have the next crisis, we need to figure out how to prevent a crisis. How do we make more radiologists? How do we make more techs? How do we make more nurses? How do we make sure our supply chains are firm and we're not reliant on a factory in the nicest place in the world, but we need redundancy. These things are not cheap. They take money, so it's not trivial. But as medicine goes, AI is going to be great, but it's a lot of these simple things that if we don't do correctly, we're not going to be able to use AI. So AI is going to be dependent on the little things. And it's the little things that really make us appreciate how important everybody is and how we really need to rethink what we're doing and how to do it better. And with that, I'll stop there. Thank everybody for their attention and have a great day. Bye, everybody.